Hello, and welcome to the DK Summer 2023 preview. I'm Annie Bostrom, Senior Editor in Adult Books at Booklist. Before we begin today, I'd like to go over some technical details. Links to today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download those, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list at any time by copying the URLs on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience, that's you, is in listen-only mode today, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with the section for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and we'll pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable captions on your screen, please look for and click the live transcript icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. From there, you can select Show or Hide Subtitles from the menu that appears. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of them at any time by selecting Subtitle Setting. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect and fairness. Anyone who violates this standard of behavior, including engaging in any form of harassment, may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. We have a wonderful event planned for you today, and we will begin with a very special interview that I am so excited for. But first, I'm going to pass things off to Kristen Pizzoli, Assistant Director in Education and Library Marketing at DK.
Thanks, Annie, and hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this Summer 2023 School and Library Preview event. I'm so glad we have this opportunity for you to learn about some exciting upcoming DK titles. And to hear from two of our authors from our adult list, Gigi Gorgeous and Gottmik, aka Cade Gottlieb of The Tea Guide, are trans experiences and a celebration of gender expression, man, woman, non-binary, and beyond, out this May. We're so excited to start with our author portion of the program. Gigi Gorgeous and Gottmik have globally inspired millions online, on TV, on stage, and in an award-winning documentary with their honest, hilarious, and gorgeous tales of what it means to be one's true self. In The Tea Guide, Gigi and Gottmik speak candidly with each other about their own trans journeys. They share stories about everything from coming out and deciding on a name to tips for more masculine or feminine features and medical versus non-medical options for transitioning. Everyone's transitioning process is unique, and the Tea Guide looks to provide a sense of support for everyone, along with some levity, no matter where they are on their journey. This includes anecdotes and advice from other advocates, activists, and allies across the gender spectrum, like musician Adam Lambert, U.S. Senator Sarah McBride, and the iconic Paris Hilton. In recent years, the trans experience has become part of the international discourse and a passionately discussed topic. However, many people don't fully understand what it means to be trans or what transitioning involves. This book is also for allies, parents and guardians, and anyone else looking to better understand and learn more about the trans experience. The Tea Guide is written to be a resource, but also a guide to encourage and comfort those going on their own journey of self-discovery. Gigi Gorgeous is a YouTube star, transgender activist, television personality, author, actress, and LGBTQ+ advocate. In 2017, she was named one of Time Magazine's 25 most influential people on the internet and one of Forbes' 30 Under 30. Her story was chronicled in the 2017 documentary, This Is Everything, Gigi Gorgeous, and she has made appearances on Project Runway All-Stars, Canada's Drag Race, Entertainment Tonight, and Access Hollywood, among others. Gottmik, aka Cade Gottlieb, is an American drag performer, actor, and makeup artist. The first transgender male to compete on RuPaul's Drag Race, Gottmik has since graced the covers of British Vogue and Out, and has been profiled in global publications such as Vogue, Allure, InStyle, Glamour, Cosmopolitan, and Entertainment Weekly, among others. In 2021, Gottmik was featured on Variety's Power of Young Hollywood list. In addition to touring the US and Europe as a celebrated drag performer, Gottmik has been featured in various fashion campaigns, including Versace and Savage by Fenty, and hosted the red carpet at the MTV Movie and TV Awards. I am so excited to welcome them onto the virtual stage for a Q&A with Booklist Senior Editor Adult, Annie, who you previously heard from. Welcome, everyone, and please take it away.
Thank you so much, Kristen, and thank you so much for being here today, Gigi and Gottmik. I was lucky enough to spend a lot of time with your book this week, and even just looking at it now, I realize every time I look at the cover, I see something different. Like today, I just noticed that you're wearing one necklace. Gorgeous. So I wanted to talk a little bit, I want to talk a lot, but I have a lot of questions about the book, but I wanted to start with who you wrote this book for. And I'm just going to read the dedication that you wrote with my hair clip bookmark here. It says, to all our trans siblings in the world, no matter where you are on your journey, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. So in your intro also, you say that you wrote this book because it didn't exist yet, and also that it's a book you wish you had when you were starting out on your journeys. So tell us about how you decided to write this book, how you decided to do it together. When did you know that you would for sure do it?
Yes. I think we were like, when did we even decide to write this? How long ago was that now?
I feel like it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was a while ago. And we were just talking, and Gigi and I are best friends. And I actually was really surprised at how much a trans woman's journey inspired and helped my trans male journey, because I never thought that would be the same thing. But at the end of the day, I kind of realized that a trans experience is a trans experience, no matter, everyone's on their own journeys, but it's kind of like there's this sense of community and like family, I guess, there. And so we just got together and we're like, that's so major. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that. And it'd be so amazing to have this conversation styled book where we just get into everything.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of like just get together, brainstorm like fun ideas. And this was something that we'd been talking about like here and there. And then we were like, we really should do this. Like, I think that this would really reach a lot of people. It would help a lot of people. And that's just what we're all about. So I feel like sharing all of our resources, putting it into one book, which ultimately was called The Tea Guide, because we feel like it's like a textbook / like guide. It's all of our secrets. We're like not about, I hate this word, but like we're not gatekeeping here. And a bunch of our like friends are in it too. And we literally have every single walk of life in it. We really tried to hit every single plane of the trans experience. And I'm just really excited to dive in and for people to get their hands on it, because we really worked really hard on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned you were friends obviously before. Can you tell us about meeting each other?
Yes. I actually met at a club in Los Angeles, and her brother-in-law introduced us and was just like, oh, Cade's like a really cool makeup artist. You guys should do something. And then Gigi's just like, as you guys, you will see throughout this meeting, Gigi's just like the most open and fun little angel of life. And so she was like, yeah, come on over, like let's film. Like, so I was like, okay, girl. And I just like went to her house and we just had like the best time ever. And we all clicked so fast. It was insane, actually. And then I got along so well with Gigi's husband, Nats, who's also in the book. And it was before Nats or I transitioned. And now we both wrote in this book as transitioned guys, which is so crazy. And so it's just very full circle, very crazy. Yeah.
It is. It's actually crazy to think because we filmed like literally where I'm filming right now, which is wild to think that like I didn't know you, Cade, because I feel like we've just been a part of each other's lives forever. But
Literally.
it just goes to show you that like it just goes to show you the power of chosen family, because like I think that you inspired my husband so much with your transition and your courage. And it's just like a revolving door of just like inspiration and like just authenticity and just people being like, I actually think I'm trans too. And like being able to fall back on your chosen family and be like, I'm seen, I'm heard, I'm like safe here. I can like express how I feel. And that's what our friendship, I guess, is. But
And that's what we're trying to come across as in this book too, for everyone else.
definitely.
I think that as a reader, that is so clear that you're just like instant soulmates. And I meant to say this earlier, is that the book is formatted like a conversation. I want to see if I can like really make this visible for our watchers. But so you've got, the two
Yeah.
colors of text are so
Yeah, I'm
cute.
pink,
You
he's
have
blue, Avi.
blue and pink. And this is like a lot of the book unfolds as this conversation, but it's just so comfortable. It's like we're sitting with you two.
Mhm.
So that brings me to my next question, which is, can you paint a picture for us of the writing, recording experience? Like, were there snacks? Were you like, were you together? Or were you like Zooming? Like, tell us what it looked like.
We were, I'm going to say like 99% together. Although there were a few instances where we had to, we really wanted people to be a part of the book, but obviously people have really busy schedules. People have their own lives, but we weren't going to let that stop us. So we tracked them down. And there were actually some instances where I just whipped out my phone and I said, okay, you're going to do a little excerpt for this book. So I just pulled out my voice memo and I was like doing a live interview with somebody. And I was like, I'll just type it up later because we just really wanted them, but it was all worth it. But me and Cade, we were basically in the same room every single time we had a writing session, just because we wanted it to be very conversational, like you said. And we actually just recorded the audiobook, which is giving very like podcast vibes, which I think would be very enjoyable to watch or to listen to, sorry. I know if I was a listener, I would want to hear like a conversation and like banter and fun stuff. And
I was thinking about that as I read that, what a great audiobook it would be. And I was hoping there was plans for it. So you have these, like you were just talking about the excerpts from a whole slew of people that we'll talk about later, but do you two read those in the audiobook or do you have other people read them? Like, how'd you do that part?
As of now, we're reading them, but we're definitely floating the idea around of having the other people read them. But like we were saying, it's like crazy people in this book with even crazier schedules. So tracking all of them down again will be a moment, but if it's right, we will make it happen.
Yeah, we just had the 2 days of filming or recording. I don't know why I keep saying filming. Yeah, like we just had 2 days. So we were like, let's just read them all. And if they get to read them and record them, that's fine. But yeah, we just banged it out.
I think either way, it's going to be such a treat. So you write that you set out to make the most informative and most loving book that you could. Like, those two words really stuck out to me. And another theme that you bring up a lot in the book is how vulnerable it is to be trans and how you need to trust your gut and your safety and just always have that in mind. And like, writing a book is being vulnerable to put something on paper that people can have for eternity. So tell us how you managed all the moving parts, getting this book into the world with so much information, so much love, so much vulnerability, and taking care of yourselves at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely insanely vulnerable. And actually, when we were doing the audiobook, it was like Gigi was saying earlier, we've been writing this for years now. And so I was like, it's crazy how much I've even grown since writing this. And like, not that, but it's crazy because it's almost like a tattoo. It's like everything I was feeling at that time is valid and people are going to connect to that, but it's just crazy. And we talk about in the book how it's like a never ending journey. And I loved the title Tea Guide because we always talk about how there literally is not a guide for transitioning at all. Everyone's journey is so different, but this is just our personal stories and our personal lives. So the fact that I was just like being open and honest and talking with Gigi and having this conversation in the book, and then to the point where it's like those little specific things I've noticed that I've like grown from and like done. And I'm like, I don't even know if I would have grown from those things if I wasn't open and honest and having these conversations. So that's kind of my hope for this book, is that people who are unsure or can like not confused, but just like don't really know where to turn, I guess, can just like open this book up and read these conversations and grow from them and learn from them and learn from our mistakes and take our advice or leave our advice and be like, that's for sure not what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the opposite. You know, it's just like a little guide starting point to like help you along your journey, no matter where you are with it.
Yeah, I think the thing that helped me, I feel like, be the most open and, you know, raw and vulnerable in this book is just being able to like trust Cade, because I feel like when you are talking with somebody that you trust and doesn't judge you, like I really feel like I could just tell him anything. So I feel like if I didn't really overthink it, it wasn't that big of a deal to share like stuff that I never really shared before, because obviously there's tons of stuff within our transitions that we've never talked about. You know, some embarrassing, some regrets, and some good decisions too. But I feel like it's just really like freeing being able to talk to your friend and be like, this is what I want to talk about in this chapter. This is how I feel about this. And then, you know, not being judged. And then before you know it, it's in a book and people are buying it and they're going to read it. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. But it's like freeing because you just said it to your friend, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And with that comes just the incredible idea that it's going to find so many of the right people at the right time. It's just infinite ways, just because you were vulnerable to put it out there.
Yes,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So you talk about chosen family. I think we've even already talked about it today, but and the importance of it, finding a chosen family, especially for trans people. And I think a lot of us find chosen family in books too. You know, that's just like, there's like the idea that people live in books, and there is a lot that you can experience that way. So I'm wondering, can you talk about your chosen family, but also your families by birth and your chosen families? Did they participate in the writing of this book in any way?
Our biological families actually did. We have a chapter that is for parents by our parents. And yeah, they wrote in it. And I think we both thought that it was really important. Actually, it was one of the last things that we did. We thought, why don't we have, you know, our biological family write in this? Because there is so much about chosen family, and obviously Cade and I are chosen family. So it just seemed natural, but we were like, oh my God, what are we doing? We have to ask, let's ask them. So they wrote like little short essays, and it's super cute. And I think that was an aspect, like I said before, there really is like no plane of the transitioning process that we missed. But you know, the parent one was almost one that we did, but no, we got them. And yeah, they basically are giving advice. And yeah, my family, I mean, my mom passed when I was 19 and she never got to know that I was trans. That is basically what kickstarted my transition. But my dad had a little bit of a hard time with it. He really didn't know anybody that was trans other than like a coworker from like years and years and years ago that he worked with. So we both basically like transitioned together kind of thing. And I pushed him away for a long time. And, you know, he goes into that in his own words. And it's just really beautiful how he's like accepted me as like his daughter. And I think it's a shock to any parent, but hopefully it's getting a little bit more normalized now. Whereas, you know, the kid doesn't have to do all the educating. The parent can do some themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the sections from your parents. I really liked those. I thought they were sweet. And that kind of brings me to the idea of writing for allies too, which, like you were saying, you're not gatekeeping, you want this information to exist for anyone who wants to find it. So in that way, you are wearing that role of educators, which, like, as you just mentioned, is a lot of work in addition to just being yourself. So you are educators so that we can educate ourselves, which is such a loving act in itself. And, you know, this might be wrapped up in your decision to write the book in the first place, but can you talk a little bit more about writing for the ally audience?
Yeah. Yeah, no, writing for the ally audience is so important because, I mean, in the book we talk about it throughout the book, but there is a specific chapter for allies. But literally, like, we talk about bathrooms in the book, and like my personal trans journey, like public bathrooms were always kind of a big anxiety ridden thing for me, and having an amazing cisgender whatever friend being there for me and just knowing the right things to say and not making it a big deal, and just all of that, just I've learned over time really does make a huge difference and has helped me build a huge confidence with something as simple as going to the bathroom. And so we've shared stories, personal stories about the bathroom, and just little tips and tricks that it's like, you know, it would be helpful if your friend could just like lean over and just be like, oh, do you want me to go with you? And it's almost like a bodyguard, even though it doesn't seem like a big deal to them, it kind of could be to a trans person. So we kind of just flag certain things like that and talk about what we would do. Gigi has like the best tip ever, where she talks about when people, like if someone misgenders someone at a restaurant or something, we always kind of just slip in the correct pronouns instead of like being like, no, that's the wrong pronoun, you're misgendering my friend, and making it dramatic. Like she'll literally be like, oh yeah, no, he'll have the pasta, thank you, like he's good, like, and just kind of slip it in and move on, so like no one feels weird, you've noted it and you can move on. And just like little tips like that really make a world of a difference that we've learned.
Yeah, I feel like also like we are just inherently like surrounded by allies, you know, like people who aren't trans. And a lot of the time, I feel like people are so scared to just ask your pronouns or ask about how to support. Like I've had, I would say like a few of my friends reach out and be like, how can I like support you? How can I help? And I'm like, oh my God, that's like so cute for you to ask. But like, you know, you just do, like you just do. And I feel like this book is the tea guide, of course. It's literally written for trans people by trans people. But at the end of the day, I think that it's for allies too, because they are included in it. They are living in the same world as us. And I know that they want to help, you know, people I feel like are inherently like good people. So they do want to like do good by you. And like that, like what Kay just said, I feel like is like a really like simple tip, but people just like don't think to do that kind of stuff because they like freak out. So there's a bunch of those in the book. And I think people, if they read it, they're just going to be like, they're going to feel like a little bit more at ease about being and being around trans people, you know, like navigating the trans experience, because bitch, we're in it and you're just here to help. So like, you know, do your education, pick up the tea guide.
And we made it easy.
You do, you make it so easy and so comfortable. I can say that as a cisgender person. It was just like, it was so nice. And I feel like, yeah, it's just like you couldn't be making it like more accessible in that way. And I think you're right. People are afraid to mess up. And but what better way to find out what we don't know than having it in a book that's on a shelf that we can open up by ourselves in a room with our friends, whatever.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you next is about that star-studded list of contributors. You told us a little bit about how you went about gathering like the physical contributions, but how did you go about, you know, getting people to sign on? Like, obviously we'll never tell, but do you have any personal favorites? We'd love any and all insider tales of working with Jazz Jennings, Amanda Lepore, Paris Hilton, Violet Chachki. So let's hear it.
Well, some of them are our friends, so they were easy to get. And some were just acquaintances. But somebody that I really want to highlight, who I was actually texting with yesterday, is Sarah McBride. She's the first trans senator in the United States of America, which is so insane. And we're so proud of her journey, everything she stands for. She writes a really, really, really beautiful excerpt towards the end of the book. And I think it just goes to like, we really have all spectrums of trans people. And obviously Paris Hilton is not transgender, but she played a huge role in my transition. And I think she plays a huge role in what femininity is for a lot of girls. So we wanted to include her. She's a good friend of ours. And yeah, I just think it like we have like political, we have, you know, pop culture and all that stuff. I'm just very proud of our roster.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the list is unbelievable. Like Adam Lambert was the first gay person I had ever heard of. I'm from Arizona and a Catholic school, and I just didn't even know what gay was. And then he was on American Idol, and I was like, that's me. I was just like, that was the first person I was like, opened my eyes up to the queer world. And the fact that he wrote about his coming out story and how he came out publicly and what it was like and all of that. And it's just insane for me. It's just full circle moment for sure. And like Gigi said, Paris Hilton, so fun to have, because she just like, I was talking about her last night and I was like, if you Google femininity, it's like it's like she Googled it and was like, I just have to do all these things. And so her giving feminine trips is everything. Sasha Colby is in it, who is hopefully going to win Drag Race this season. And she has just this insane pageant background. And so she talks about, and the trans community within the pageant world is just insane. And Gigi and I have a chapter about competition within the community and how insane that is. And Sasha's stories are just unbelievable. There's just, it's just every single person really brought something to the chapter. Like Gigi and I are both very binary trans people also. And so we would talk a lot about our surgeries or like hormones and how that helped us be like masculine and feminine. And then Alok, who is the most amazing, inspiring, non-binary person ever, comes in and writes about how they don't ever need any of like the hormone replacement therapy. They don't need a transition like that. The world needs to transition into them. And like, it's very just such a different side. And it's almost like, it's just so everything balances out with all these people in it. We literally have every aspect, every point of the spectrum and every person ever you could think of.
Yeah. And like Kate said earlier too, I feel like when we finished writing the book, it was definitely where we were, in our lives, in our transition. But I feel like we are just ever growing within our transition and like learning things like that, like hearing Alok talk, hearing other non-binary people talk that are in the book about their experience and stuff. It's very like eye-opening. And I think even as the authors of the book, we are still learning. We are still questioning things that we thought we knew, or we were like, had a hard stance on. But, I think that that's very important for readers to know too. It's supposed to like ignite like thought within you, reading these excerpts from people. And also just, you would never really, I guess, see or like experience something like a pageant, story like Sasha Colby's. So like literally hearing her tell her story, it was very like eye-opening. Like, oh, wow. Like that's what you went through. I thought I had it like hard, or I thought I was going through it. Yeah, it's just like thought-provoking. And I think that that's like really interesting.
100%.
Totally. And like you were just saying that, it just makes it so clear that trans identity is not just one thing. It's so many different things, so many evolving things. And like you have captured this really full picture in this book for a moment that is going to like open so many eyes, but that you make it so clear too. You're like, this isn't the end of the story. This isn't written in stone.
Yes.
It's not a stone tablet.
100%.
Just a beautiful book.
Just a beautiful book, which this is a great moment. I'm sorry it took me so long. Let's talk about the pictures.
Okay. I didn't know if you were going to bring it up or not.
I bookmarked my favorite because I just stared at it for so long and I like turned it upside down.
That's one of our favorites too.
And I'm just like, how?
Wait, Kate, is that one of your favorites? I don't want to speak for you.
No, it is for sure. I'm obsessed.
I am too. That was almost the cover.
Colors. It's so good.
Yeah, we were almost going to make that the cover.
Tell us about the shoots and the styling and all of it. I assume you both had a hand in the styling, but what?
Well, there was a whole team moment behind it. Kate and I are very visual. I mean, literally both of our backgrounds are in like beauty and fashion and stuff. So we just love a good photo. We love a good concept. We're very like aesthetic. We love just like the face, and like, we're just very particular about like how we look and like how we want things to be. So I mean, both of us together, it's just creating like a fashion monster, beauty monster. So we were just really excited. We were like, we're going to do a book, but it's going to be a fashion book as well.
Yes.
And I think that's part of it. I love when books have imagery. It's something like magical happens when you like look at a book and like there's just a beautiful photo. Like I forget what image, but I just remember being so obsessed with images when I was younger. Like I would like print them out and I would just like stare at them. Like, I don't know, it's just something magical about it. And I feel like with the writing and the visuals for each chapter, each excerpt, it really comes to life.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. Like visuals are everything to me. And we got some amazing designers in here. Like it's not just any fashion. We're wearing gorgeous artistry from some of my like favorite designers in the entire world. And so that was already exciting enough for me. And then both of us like seeing it in person, I was like, oh, this is everything I've been like fighting for at these fashion weeks for the past year. So I can have a book wearing all their clothes. Like just so fun.
They're
Oh my
so
God.
fun. It's like everything you said, Gigi, about adding to the reading experience. And also like, it looks like you two are having a lot of fun in the pictures too, which it just adds to that feeling of like being among friends. So I'm told we only have time for one more question, unfortunately, but this one is one I really wanted to ask you because there's a couple moments in the book where you're like, if you would have told me, you know, like, I think it was you, Gottmik, you're like, if you would have told me I would be at a photo shoot at David LaChapelle's house one day. So like, if you would have told little you that this book existed, like imagine coming across it at your library, somebody handing it to you, like, I just want to know what that would have been like for
I just got
Gigi and little
chills.
Gottmik.
I know. I mean, it's crazy because I don't even know. Tell little me would just not believe it because I was saying, I grew up super in just like the most sheltered Catholic Arizona place ever. I didn't even have like the language of like what transgender even was until I moved. So, but I always like had it in me and felt it and knew that it was that, but I just didn't have the language to express it. And so having this book, if I would have like gone to Barnes and Noble, which back in my day, was like the after school hangout, was just going to Barnes and Noble, and there was a Starbucks in there. I just sit with my friends and I saw that. I feel like there was a chance that I would have been like, oh my God, like this is it. Cause you know, it's just, I mean, the internet was not what it was back then, but just something about like a book and having it and like secret and just all the way we laid everything out in the conversation. It's just mind blowing. And I think I would definitely have things would have clicked a lot faster for me. And even like I was saying before, how I was rereading it with the audiobook and I was like, wow, I'm in such a different place now and I've learned so much, and I'm almost like, I wonder if I learned that from this book, like me getting to a place where I can, like before when I was writing this book in that era, I couldn't even like speak about genitals. Like I was so dysphoric and I literally couldn't even say the words out loud. And now I'm in a place where it's so much easier for me to talk about that kind of stuff because I was forcing it out of me in this book. And I was like, I think this book literally actually helped me and I wrote it. It's crazy.
What about you, Gigi?
I mean, 100%, I agree with everything Kate said, always. I think that we just had so much fun writing it, but it turns out that like I learned a lot too, especially about like the genital topic and like talking about, you know, sex and all of that stuff. I think when you're talking to a friend, it's a lot less intimidating. And then like once it's out there, it's like, oh, we're actually writing a book right now. So it's actually not just between us. And it really does just teach you. And I think if I had this book growing up, I personally, when I transitioned, probably would have bought it, hid it, and read it every single night, found my favorite photo, been obsessed with it, and felt educated, more confident for sure. and maybe more open to talking about it with a friend, maybe being like, oh, I have this book, like, you know, just very like that. But I think nowadays, because, you know, being trans is a lot, it's a lot more like commercial, dare I say, like a lot more people are out and proud about it. I think now it's like, yeah, I have the tea guide. Yeah, like here's your education, like literally like gifting it to people and stuff. But yeah, growing up, it would have been such a game changer. It would have just fast forwarded everything for me. I would have been like, wow, like these people are literally talking about what's going on in my head. Like this is not normal. No one else is talking about this. And yeah, I think it just would have been so special. I just can't wait till it's out.
I know. And like we were saying too, we have every single stage of like the trans experience you could ever imagine. We have people who are just starting out questioning non-binary and like the most legendary trans people that could ever live in this book. So it's just so cool to like people, I'm just imagining people reading it and they're like seeing themselves at every stage and where they could be. And it's just so cute. I'm just so excited.
Me too. Me too.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for people to have your book. It's been such a pleasure and a privilege to talk to you two today. Thank you so much. And I think I am going to hand it back to Kristen now. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Wow. Thank you so much, Gigi, Gottmik, and Annie. What a powerful, powerful conversation. I'll try to keep it exciting and keep the energy going as we switch gears now and dive into some other top titles of the summer on our adult list, starting with the LGBTQ+ history book, the latest in our best-selling and beloved Big Ideas Simply Explained series. This book presents a bold and accessible overview of the rich and complex history of LGBTQ+ people around the world, their struggles, triumphs, and cultural contributions. This diverse global account explores the most important moments, movements, and phenomena, from the first known lesbian love poetry of Sappho to the Kinsey's modern sexuality studies, and features biographies of key figures from Anne Lister to Allen Ginsberg. It celebrates the victories and untold triumphs of LGBTQ+ people throughout history, such as the Stonewall riots and the first transgender surgeries, and commemorates moments of tragedy and persecution, from the Renaissance Italian night police to the 20th century don't ask, don't tell policy. The book also includes major cultural cornerstones and the history of LGBTQ+ spaces. The LGBTQ+ history book celebrates the long, proud, and often hidden history of LGBTQ+ people, cultures, and places from around the world. If you aren't one of B. Dylan Hollis's 12 million social media followers, or don't know much about him, I can guarantee you that that is all about to change. Baking Yesteryear, his decade-by-decade cookbook that highlights the best and a few of the worst, 101 baking recipes from the 20th century, and is set to be released this July, shot to the very top of the charts after his announcement, and still, several weeks later, is currently in the number 38 slot of the all books category on Amazon. If you're not yet convinced, I'll go on. But I think that fact alone makes it a must-have for every adult library collection, and could even serve as a gateway to a history lesson in the classroom. There is so much fun to be had with this cookbook. Bake everything from chocolate potato cake from the 1910s to avocado pie from the 1960s, and go on a delicious journey through the past. Dylan has baked hundreds of recipes from countless antique cookbooks and selected only the best for this bake book. With his larger-than-life personality and comedic puns galore, baking with Dylan never gets old. We'll leave that to the recipes. Next up, another chef you might recognize, Nick DiGiovanni. Nick DiGiovanni is a chef, food content creator, and world record holder for numerous food-related feats, He's worked in all kinds of kitchens, ranging from popular seafood joints to Michelin-starred restaurants. After competing on MasterChef Season 10 and becoming the show's youngest ever finalist, Nick started posting instructional cooking videos on social media and rapidly gained a loyal, eager-to-learn audience of nearly 20 million followers. Home-cooked food doesn't have to be over-the-top, fussy, or time-intensive to be absolutely amazing. In his debut cookbook, Knife Drop, Nick gives you the tools to become fearless in the kitchen and to create delicious meals. Building on a foundation of staple recipes such as basic pasta dough and homemade butter, Nick shares a mouth-watering selection of his favorites. Feast on New England favorites like browned butter lobster rolls and garlic butter steak tips. Enjoy decadent pasta dishes like smoky mezcal rigatoni and sun-gold spaghetti. And recreate fan favorites like his viral pasta chips and dino nuggets. Nick's even included some collab recipes from his famous friends like Andrew Zimmern, Robert Irvine, Joanne Chang, and more. Knife Drop also includes Nick's expert advice on equipment, ingredients, and techniques, so home cooks of all ability level can pick up some new skills. A library of QR codes links to video tutorials showcasing key cooking techniques, from holding a chef's knife and making a piping bag to pronouncing gnocchi the correct way. And better yet, for every copy of Knife Drop purchased during the pre-order period, Nick will be donating 10 meals to the FarmLink Project, an organization that connects farms with surplus food to food banks, feeding people in need to reduce food waste and address food insecurity. Knife Drop. And yet another chef's audience we are so excited to tap into. This is Danielle Brown's Healthy Girl Kitchen, 100 plus plant-based recipes to live your healthiest life. With more than 6.5 million followers on social media, Danielle Brown is the wildly popular vegan influencer behind Healthy Girl Kitchen, having created hundreds of recipes that are simple and approachable. Whether a practicing vegan or just interested in trying out more plant-based meals, these recipes will show readers how to make nourishing meals that are free of animal products without making them feel like they're restricting themselves or missing out. Transitioning to a plant-based lifestyle can seem intimidating, but when you're in the Healthy Girl Kitchen, plant-based eating doesn't have to be complicated. Danielle covers the entire food prep spectrum, including breakfasts, salads and bowls, soups, comfort food, dinners, plus sandwiches, snacks, side dishes, desserts, and more. The Healthy Girl Kitchen Cookbook contains more than 100 plant-based recipes that are 100% vegan, refined sugar, and flour-free, gluten-free optional, and ridiculously easy to prepare. We'll switch from cooking now, but stay within the lifestyle space with the latest from DK Eyewitness Travel. Our travel guides are back to being updated regularly, so look out for new additions to all the world's best destinations in those popular formats. But today, I'll highlight some of our one-off publishing, if you will. Europe by Train is the essential planning tool for any rail journey around Europe, with in-depth practical advice and 50 inspiring itineraries. Its hand-picked itineraries take the stress out of planning, with expert advice on travel logistics and detailed descriptions of stops to explore along the way. Featuring a mix of short trips and epic adventures, cross-continent and region-specific itineraries, it's the ultimate travel companion. Whether looking to hop between Europe's capitals, explore Scandinavia, or experience the best of Italy. Korea is a global phenomenon. K-pop tops the charts, kimchi spices up meals, and K-drama dominates TV screens. Now it's time to discover more of the country and culture that's captivated the world with Hello, South Korea. No other book covers the entirety of South Korean culture, creativity, and exports in this way, from the people who have shaped the country to its customs. From discovering why you are 1 year older in Korean age, to learning how Parasite changed Korea's film landscape, 7 themed chapters unpacked key facets of South Korean life: the geography and language, customs and values, the flourishing food scene, the arts, the entertainment industry, leisure pursuits, and innovation, making this book a perfect introduction to this wildly varied country. And this is just a reminder that DK's Spanish language publishing list continues to grow, both on the children's and adult sides for readers of all ages. Highlighted here are some of this year's forthcoming and newest. We will soon have a comprehensive catalog of all titles available, so be sure you're signed up for the DK newsletter to be among the first to know when that catalog is available. And that is the perfect bridge into our children's Summer 2023 highlights portion of the webinar. First up, DK Super Readers. In the wake of all the learning loss, particularly in math and reading, that children have experienced as a result of the pandemic, our new and improved Leveled Reader series couldn't come at a better time. These are DK Super Readers, an evolution of the ever-popular DK Reader series, for kids ages 3 to 11 and now divided into 5 levels, from pre-level to level 4, and all aligned to Lexile measures to ensure accuracy of these 5 DK levels. The relaunch of these has just begun this week, and the first 5 titles are out now, pubbing this past Tuesday, and the publications will continue throughout the year for a total of 125 DK Super Readers in 2023, 75 refreshed titles that have been our most popular, and 50 brand new ones. All titles coming this year cover science-based topics, from dinosaurs to natural disasters to submarines and submersibles. Perhaps I should actually call it 131 titles in total instead of just 125, because 6 of those 125 will also be available in bilingual editions come August. 3 pre-level titles and 3 level 1 titles. We are really excited to have this Spanish-English offering added to the list. DK Super Readers are here to get learners back on track, from the first stages of learning to read to reading confidently. These books encourage nonfiction reading, which has benefits that include becoming more knowledgeable and developing a thirst for learning, as well as improving cognitive knowledge acquisition, concentration, information gathering, critical thinking, and study skills. For a full list of titles to be available in 2023, use the QR code on the slide or visit the listed link. All English language titles will also be available in ebook. As you can see from these spreads, one from each level, fonts, image use, and of course text density all change from level to level. These titles have all been produced in conjunction with experienced educators. It's surely an exciting year for DK Super Readers. On the back of every DK Super Reader is a QR code linking to a dedicated site which houses tons of information and free downloadable resources for parents, educators, and librarians to enhance the learning journey. From reading guides with tips and tricks to achievement certificates and masked cutout crafts, these resources will help kids become reading heroes. Also accessible on this site is the full offering of titles by level for ease of reference and exploration. Beginning this year, All of our other readers are also being put into the DK Super Reader format, so kids can truly feel like a reading hero as they're learning. And what better way to feel like a reading hero than with a reader about an actual superhero? Supergirl, Girl of Steel is a level 3 reader and will be available this June. For any educators on this webinar, I'd like to do a brief shout out for phonic books, which will officially be sold by DK beginning this April. Organized in shrink-wrapped sets, phonic books are decodable books for beginner and catch-up readers ages 3 and beyond. Phonic Books understands that learning phonics is the foundation of long-lasting reading comprehension. Developed by literacy experts and aligned to the science of reading, Phonic Books' high-interest decodable book series follow a structured sequence with incremental progression, allowing students to advance naturally whether they are just starting out or need further support in learning how to read. Through highly structured and engaging texts, Phonic Books introduce only a few sounds and letters at a time. Readers practice each letter-sound correspondence. By learning a few sounds and blending them together, children learn to reliably decode entire words. With multiple series that build and expand on learned letter-sound knowledge, Phonic Books paves a structured scaffold to more complex texts and unlocks the joy of reading independently. Dandelion launchers and readers offer beginner readers a gentle, gradual approach to the alphabet and to vowel teams. Catch-up readers support older readers, ages 18 to 14 plus, who need to bridge gaps in phonics skills through exciting, action-packed adventures, high-low books, if you will. And photocopyable activity books accompany the readers to further develop language fluency, comprehension, spelling, and writing. We're so excited to have these on our list. It certainly couldn't be more timely. By now, I'm sure you're aware of our DK Eyewitness relaunch, a refresh of a classic series for a new generation of kids to help them find their thing, their passion. These are perfect for kids ages 9 to 12. 2 more titles will release in both hardcover and paperback this June, National Parks and Soccer, and then another 3 in August, Ancient Greece, Crystal and Gem, and Insect. We'll be launching a fun campaign around this series in the early fall, with opportunities for schools and libraries to hear from some ologist experts as part of a programming event. Keep your eyes peeled for more information coming soon. We are so excited that Rebel Girls is also now a part of the DK family. And this book, Growing Up Powerful, is one we are really excited for and which is set to redefine the body book for the next generation. This bold, big-hearted volume about growing up with unshakable confidence will revolutionize girlhood and redefine what it means to grow up powerfully. Rebel Girls is revolutionizing girlhood in 5 approachable chapters. Growing Up Powerful unpacks the major aspects of a girl's life, moving from micro to macro, brain and emotions, body, family and friends, school and community, and world, and offers accessible, modern advice on how to handle it all powerfully. It tackles the tough stuff, from pimples to depression to coping with the constant news cycle, all through the lens of empowerment. While existing body books only spotlight the biological changes of puberty, Growing Up Powerful takes a more holistic approach as a tool for handling all the milestones that come with growing up. From concrete advice about making friends and communicating with your family to coping with scary news and school stress, we're covering it all and having fun doing it. With a pitch-perfect voice, interactive quizzes, and fun Q&As throughout, and humorous graphic novel panels, Rebel Girls Growing Up Powerful will inspire a new generation of girls to celebrate the messiness of puberty and be their most confident selves. I should be clear that despite all this content, this book is not consumable. It will be available in paperback in May and hardcover in June. Two other exciting brand new Rebel Girls titles are coming this summer too. Rebel Girls Celebrate Pride features 25 inspiring tales of proud members of the LGBTQIA+ community. Read about how these women, girls, and non-binary people broke down barriers, honored their identities, and lived authentically no matter what anyone else said. Young readers will find their voice with Janelle Monáe, play for equality with Billie Jean King, protect their community with Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, and organize joyful celebrations with Dr. Lady Phil and Molly Pinta. With a foreword by Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls author Elena Favilli, this book pairs inspiring, easy-to-read text with colorful, full-page portraits created by female and non-binary artists from all around the world. Plus, scannable codes let young readers listen to longer stories on the Rebel Girls app. Rebel Girls has partnered with GLAAD to select the subjects featured in Celebrate Pride. GLAAD has also created the interactive activities featured in the back matter of the volume. And all of the writers and illustrators working to create this book are LGBTQIA identifying creators. Rebel Girls Level Up highlights 25 amazing women designing games, leading gamer communities, and paving the way for more women to enter the gaming and tech industries. In this dynamic book, readers will learn about pioneers of the gaming industry, like Mabel Addis, the first female video game designer. They'll dive into gamer communities led by popular Twitch streamers and jump into the studio with the female creators behind some of the most popular games today. Level Up addresses difficult topics too, like women being harassed for participating or succeeding in the gaming space, with a kid-friendly tone. It also addresses the underrepresentation of girls and girls of color in gaming. The video game industry is known for being a boys' club, but almost 50% of the gaming community around the world is female. Rebel Girls Level Up is sure to inspire readers to work hard and play harder. And yet another existing entity, which is now part of DK, and we are so excited about. A kid's book about, and we're thrilled to add these 4 titles to our list this summer. A kid's book about racism, the inaugural title written by father and a kid's co-founder, Jelani Memory, which has sold more than 60,000 copies to date. A kid's book about anxiety, a kid's book about disability, and a kid's book about imagination, the last of which is written by legendary actor LeVar Burton. These are just the summer titles, but both new and existing series titles will continue to come from DK in future publishing seasons. With his work, founder Jelani Memory imparts that kids are ready. Kids are ready to have these conversations about the important and more difficult parts of life, and he created these books as a magical way to open these conversations. The interiors are bold, brief, to the point, and inviting, and kids open up these books, and as kids open up these books, so too will their minds, hearts, and certainly questions be opened up as well. Topics are handled mindfully and age appropriately, and the books are meant for children as young as 5. We're excited that we now have an ongoing partnership with the MET, and there are some really fun titles coming out in 2023. 2 of which will be out in the summer. The first is What the Artist Saw, Edgar Degas. There are already several titles in this series with which you might be familiar, particularly that of Georgia O'Keeffe, which received a starred review from School Library Journal. Have you ever wondered exactly what your favorite artists were looking at to make them draw, sculpt, or paint the way they did? In this charming illustrated series of books for kids ages 7 to 9, created in full collaboration with the Metropolitan Museum of Art, young readers can see what they saw and be inspired to create their own artworks too. In What the Artist Saw, Edgar Degas, meet the famous French painter and sculptor and learn all about how he broke new ground and captured the energy and elegance of skilled ballet dancers. It will be available this May. Mystery at the Museum is an interactive choose-your-own-adventure style puzzle book, though not consumable, that will keep kids ages 7 to 9 entertained for hours as they help William the Hippo and his friends solve the puzzles and save the exhibition. William the Hippo and his friends live on Fifth Avenue, New York, inside the Metropolitan Museum of Art. At night, when the museum is closed and all the visitors have gone home, their adventures begin. An exhibition of mythical creatures is due to open, and it's all the animals in the museum can talk about. The amazing exhibits have been sent from all over the world. They are packed very carefully to keep them safe. Each box has a puzzle lock that needs to be solved before it will open. But it's the night before the opening, and the curators still haven't managed to figure out the puzzles. William the Hippo is the wisest creature in the museum. Kids will be challenged to help him and his friends travel the museum, collect the clues, solve the puzzles, and save the opening. Though that's the end of our seasonal title list, I'd like to make you aware of a summer program we'll be running for the 4th year in a row, Camp DK. But this year, it will be more exciting and more expansive than ever. This 6-week celebration will feature book recommendations, author videos, and downloadable activity sheets to share throughout the span of the summer. It's a perfect fit for kids ages 7 to 12, though can certainly skew a little older or younger too. This year, we're excited to offer a free physical Camp DK activity kit, which includes a foam board easel sign for table and counter displays, shelf talkers for each of Camp DK's 2023 focus titles, which you can see on the slide here, reproducible activity sheets, and Camp DK branded promo items for you to distribute at your discretion. Be sure to use the QR code on the slide to sign up to receive a kit by April 30th. Don't miss out. Pack your bags and head with us to Camp DK this summer. And here's just a quick reminder to follow us on social media in order to have all the latest DK news and offerings at your fingertips. On the left, you see the accounts you're most likely already aware of. But earlier this month, we launched DK Living on Instagram and Facebook, dedicated to adult lifestyle and reference titles. So be sure to give us a follow if that interests you. And for any teachers tuning in today, make sure you check out our almost 1-year-old education-focused site, DK Learning, which is packed with curated free content for teachers, all browsable by grade level, subject, and topic. And be sure to follow us on our education-focused social accounts as well. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us today and for all that you do for your students, patrons, and communities. We appreciate you. And a huge thank you to Gigi, Gottmik, and Annie for their fabulous Q&A and for adding so much to today's webinar.
Thank you so much for sharing all these wonderful titles, Kristen. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's video recording, title list, slide presentation, and a certificate of completion. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. Have you heard? Booklist Reader, our new book browsing guide offering reading recommendations to patrons of all ages, is now available in print. Go to booklistonline.com to find out how you can order print copies for distribution at your library. Already subscribed? Booklist subscribers can share issues digitally for free. Visit our website for more details and to see examples of how libraries are sharing Booklist Reader with their patrons. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. One more huge thank you to our guests, Kristen, Gigi, and Gottmik, and to our sponsor, DK. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.